Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is the Lorcana Beehive. My name is Kevin Larson. This is episode 4 of the Lore Lowdown. We're very excited to have you listening again. Our audience has been growing, and we are just excited to see that happen. And we are excited today to bring you a whole bunch of fun content that we have going on today and over this next little while here at our local scene here in Utah,
Heck
as
yeah.
well as some others around the globe, hopefully. So,
Heck yeah. Super
how you
exciting.
doing, Justin?
Oh, I'm doing good. Today's a great day. We got a lot of cool Lorcana going on. The LC3, the Legendary Cross Continental Clash, is ongoing, as most probably know throughout the week. There's been some amazing matches there. There is the CCQ in Vegas that's currently ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
So many cool tournaments ongoing, and being able to record during some ongoing tournaments, I think it just adds a little bit of energy to a little pip in my step. So I'm excited about it.
I love seeing the results of these tournaments that come out because it always adds to how am I going to spice up my deck? How am I going to spice up my local events? Like, what are other people doing that I can then learn lessons from and adjust my play style? It's so much fun to see these results, and it's also so much fun to see the streams, to see these really professional players like go at it and really test their mettle and see who comes out on top, right? Being able to watch them make their inking decisions, watch them do their mulligan decisions, watch them play and interact on the ever-changing board landscape is so educational sometimes, because I would sit there looking at their hand and be like, I would make this decision. What I do ABC and they do PDQ, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's not what I would have done.
Yeah, it was funny. I was watching Wonderland stream earlier in the week. I was working, quote unquote, and watching Wonderland stream at the same time, and he was reviewing, or he was watching Tiago versus, who was that? Oh, Tiago versus DKP. Oh my gosh, how could I forget the world champion? But and Tiago was making some plays and DKP was making some plays, and I'm sitting there thinking like, why did they make that play? And then Wonderland comes in, it's like, oh, they did this play because, and it was nice because Wonderland's super active on his Twitch stream. So as I was like asking questions, he was responding to me and being like, yeah, this is why this play happened, this is why that play happened. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that, right? And so it was really cool to see kind of just the thought process of others. And then like what you said, when we see these other decks coming in, we get to see decks that we don't normally think of. And I think the dream is to add that little bit of spice that no one's prepared for and just kind of catch people off guard with it, right? Like that's the fun of TCGs.
And I just want to point out, because I actually have the stream up while we're talking right now, and like speaking of spice, right now we have the game between Zan Syed and Bradley going on. Bradley is on Amethyst Steel, and he's literally playing the 3-cost item Grimoire Emporium, and no one has seen this item. Like,
I saw it on his deck list, and I was like, "What is that?" And I went and checked Dreamborn right away, and I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah, it's like it's specific just to the Demona card, and it's like no one has been playing this card. So I love seeing how they're like, you know what, this is actually going to win me a game, and then it works. So
well, and not only specific to the Demona card, but it also during your turn, whenever an opposing character becomes exerted, gain 1 lore. So it's not even just synergizes with Demona. It's like if you can find a way to exert your opposing characters, say Elsa, right, comes to mind.
Elsa.
That's a free lore from Elsa. Elsa now turned into a White Rose, which is mind-boggling to consider that it's got rush, it can exert a character, likely clear a character, plus you're gaining 1 lore. And I mean, how many times have you been 1 lore away? Like, how many times is it? Just 1.
Losing at 19 is the worst.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I can get to 19 this turn, and then they're gonna quest out for 50,
per game.
Yeah, and you're like, this is just, you're right there. So it's super cool to see this like fun little spice. We'll see if it turns out for him. I think he's it's 1-1 right now, so I don't know where they're at as far as who's gonna win that one, but it's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. I just love watching it. And I mean, we're not here to do like live commentary on the LC3, but it's happening right now, so that's where our minds are at.
Well, and not to, like I said, it just adds that little extra juice to the podcast, I think. So it's pretty exciting.
Cool. Absolutely. Well, best of luck to everybody in the LC3 event. We'll be talking a little bit more about that here in a minute, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll talk about some of the already results. It'll be fun. So our first segment today that we wanted to get into, it was Kevin's segment, so I'll pass over to him. But the segment is titled Cinderella is Plummeting. So
Honestly.
Kevin, tell us about Cinderella plummeting, and let's hear a little bit more about it.
Yeah, I mean, so I think we mentioned a few episodes ago that Cinderella was the #1 selling, or like the highest priced legendary of Whispers in the Well, which makes sense. She's a very good card. For those that are maybe unfamiliar, she is a 4-cost uninkable princess card. I think she's a 2/3, so 2 strength, 3 willpower, and 1 lore pip, right?
Correct.
But on play, when her text reads, whenever a princess character is played, you may then at the end of your turn ink a card from the top of from your hand and then draw a card, and it can be any card that you ink. Which
it's like a T-Bow,
she's an incredible.
Right? You can ink an uninkable with her because you don't have to show your opponent, and plus you draw a card from that, right? It replaces the card that you just inked. How fun is that?
Yeah, so you can essentially ink a brick card in your hand and then replace it. And she's an incredible card. We all saw the power of this card going from reveals, and we all knew that she was going to be a really popular card, which reflected in the prices. I mean, she peaked at what, like $63, $63.50 on TCG Player, like not even a week ago.
Yeah, peaked at 63 right as I got one in a trade. Ugh.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I lost $20 on that one.
I mean, yeah, because today she's selling on TCG Player for $44.92. That's the most recent sale. So she is plummeting. She's lost quite a bit of her value, and we wanted to talk about why this happens, because we've seen it happen before. We saw it happen with Maui Shark. We've seen it happen with Tao and Toa, Happy as a Clam. We even saw it with cards that didn't reach those kind of peaks, but like Genie, Wish Fulfilled. Those cards got really expensive when they were really, really popular. And when the meta evolved and it developed, people found out ways to either play without them or play around them or play with less. And that reflected in the prices that dropped. Right. So, I mean, again, we're not financial advisors, but I think paying $60 for a regular legendary is insane. I think that's a crazy amount of money to spend. So always just be a little patient. The prices will drop.
Well, that's the funny thing I specifically said on the episode that I wasn't going to pay 60 and I was gonna wait and see what happened. And then I was in a trade and it was like, all right, well, we need to try to account for this value of the trade. And the person I was trading with had a Cindy, and so I was like, well, whatever, let's just do it, pull the trigger. Might as well let's get the value for it where we can. Got the card. Obviously, if I would have waited a couple weeks, maybe he doesn't have that card still, so that there's things there where I lost $20 but I got the card then.
You got the card, right? Yeah,
I mean, it's not the end of the world because my wife ended up pulling a Cinderella and a Hades in back-to-back packs at Game Haven West Jordan, so that was pretty wild.
That's
doing
awesome.
Backflips when she did that. I was like, let's go. So it was fun stuff. But yeah, it's sometimes you make that decision, you pull a trigger, but to your point, right? Be patient. $60 a card doesn't feel like a normal price. I know, what was it? So Rapunzel in her heyday stayed right around $45. And then as Steel Song continued to gain popularity, I think it fluctuated there between the $40 and $50 range. But I don't think it ever really exceeded the $50 range, which was so shocking to see Cinderella just skyrocket right out the gate.
Right out of the gate, man.
But I think it's one of those things where it should kind of level out. I don't know. I'm not going to give any financial advice here, but I will be surprised if I see it drop much lower than 35. I think 35 is your lowest possible point for that card. It's tough because
it is tough.
I think I was talking to somebody about this. Cinderella will be played in blue decks until she rotates. Let's just be real. There's no reason not to put her in a blue deck. We talked about this before the stream, right? So
100%. I mean, again, if you look at historicals, Maui Shark sold a lot as soon as Whispers was announced. Holy cow. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at TCG
because they added a bunch of awesome items and stuff, and he skyrocketed back up to 30. He was actually in a tough spot there for a minute.
He was, and Maui Shark peaked again around $54, and his low was around 30. So I think that's a pretty good gauge by where you can measure these other popular enchantments. I mean, just look at the historicals for the previous ones. You know, if you can hit somewhere around like that 30 threshold, maybe a little bit less if you can wheel and deal well, like that's a pretty good price for these really popular and powerful cards.
Well, and I think the best way to describe them is staples, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be that scenario where you got cards that are inflated for. The best example I have of a card that was hyper inflated due to the situation was Dumbo. I think he's a
Yes.
great card last set because there's so much less removal. There's so many less decks that are playing things that can just one-shot him and remove his benefit right away. But
Mm-hmm.
now I think 30 is almost too much for Dumbo right now because I feel like he's a great card, but I don't feel like he's staple category. Cindy is a staple. She is a staple. There's absolutely no reason not to play her in a blue deck, especially if you're ramping in that blue deck. Or even if you're not ramping. I mean, she's just a dumb good card in a non-ramp deck.
Right, even in princess decks. In princess decks, she's a staple because she enables princess to actually work.
Right. And I think that's where, for me, I think if you see that price drop, honestly, below the $40 mark, it's time to start potentially making a market somewhere there and see what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't see her dropping anywhere below 35. Like I said, I think 35 is going to be like her floor until she rotates out. And then from there, once she rotates out, I mean, even with Rapunzel, man, she's rotated out and she's still $14-15. You're like,
and there's still like multiple sales every day for Rapunzel. Multiple.
Yeah. And I think it's just one of those things where I think some of these staple legendaries, they hold their value. And especially with Infinity, we don't know. Right now, it's kind of jury's out on how many people will gravitate towards Infinity as a play style. But with Infinity gaining popularity, we have a DLC that's an Infinity DLC there in Indianapolis. So who knows? Infinity could blow up, and then you could see Rapunzel's jump back up to $20-30 a card because, hey, they're still hard to get. You could buy sealed, and you can hope that you rip it, but still, it's a finite resource.
Right. I mean, they haven't really reprinted first chapter boxes they haven't really, I should say, allocated a bunch of resources to reprinting that set in a long time. So really, the pool of cards is out there, and you just kind of got to use what's available.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that Ravensburger is going to be pushing Infinity. I think that they are fully supporting that format. If it isn't evidenced by what you already said, the format that's available at a DLC, it is Infinity, as well as the upcoming Infinity format for the Whole New World promo that they've released to the local game stores. I think that's going to be in like December or something, right?
Yeah, Infinity Weekend is mid-December, the 13th and 14th of December. So keep an eye out for that Whole New World promo because I know that's going to be such a popular thing to go and try and grab. Like I was telling to Sam last week, right? I will play in the Infinity Weekend. Will I win is a whole nother question. Good thing it's a participation promo and not a top 8 promo because I don't feel like I'm going to go in there and crush it, but it is.
No, I don't think I'm going to crush it, but it's going to be fun. And I think I feel like we're diverting a bit from the Cinderella.
Yep, we did.
Topic,
we went completely away from Cinderella.
It's all right. We'll come back to you, Gal. We promise. But one last topic on the Infinity format is I think that another fun way that Ravensburger could support the Infinity format is by continuing to release alternative art cards that are only in Infinity format. Specifically, I think the community would love to see an enchanted version of Sad Beast. I think we all want it.
Everyone wants it. No question. Yeah. We need enchanted. I mean, enchanted versions of any of the staples, right? Enchanted version of Maui Dragon, enchanted version of, look, I mean, I guess we have the set champs enchanted, but, you know, and just things that they could do that, oh man, Tamatoa, enchanted early Tamatoa, right? The super cluster one. Yeah. Is it So Shiny? No, which one is that?
Oh, I think you're right.
I want to say it's So Shiny. I think it's Tamatoa So Shiny was the one that one lore pip for every item on board. But...
Right. That card is awful.
One other disclaimer.
So shiny.
Yeah, one other disclaimer about Infinity format. Fake legendaries were a thing during the early on Lorcana. So anybody who's joining Lorcana after Fabled or after this set, you know that the legendary logo is kind of like a foiled out legendary logo. That is
holographic.
Due to specifically kind of an anti counterfeiting measure that Ravensburger incorporated into their cards, because the counterfeiting was getting so sophisticated. And so you can see that the logos, the Enchanted logo, the Legendary logo, the Iconic logo, even the Epic logo, they're all this kind of foiled out effect, and it's very hard to counterfeit in comparison to the older cards. The older cards were absolutely rampant with counterfeiting. So with some of these older staples, I mean, you're not going to be paying huge dollar amounts for them right now, so that's good. But I mean, even a $15 card, if you buy a fake one, that feels bad. So just be careful, you know, buy from reputable sources. There's no one locally that does any counterfeiting, but really when you go to card shows, that's going to be probably your biggest concern, I think. So
also eBay.
Yeah, eBay's a tough one, man. eBay's really hard. TCG Player, I haven't personally seen anything. I don't know if you have any horror stories there, Kevin.
No, I've been pretty lucky, and I do keep my online card shopping to a minimum, and that's one of the reasons why, is because I would just hate to be burned like that. There's been a couple of stories where people advertised as one card and they sent me another one, and then they were like battling me on refunds. So that's annoying. But I mean, I try and stick to local game stores or to reputable online sales areas, places that are verified. I think that helps closer to guarantee that I'm getting a quality product when I purchase it. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think especially locally, I haven't seen a single local player selling anything close to, you know, a fake. So I think you got a lot of really good local sellers that have, you know, local, not even card shop sellers, but local players that sell cards and have a pretty good stock of legendaries and enchanteds and things like that. And I haven't seen a single one that comes close. So definitely feel comfortable in the local Utah community, but just as you're out traveling and, you know, if you see a card and it doesn't quite look right, probably just go on the safe side and don't buy that one. With the legendary logos specifically, it's very easy to tell on the earlier cards, because the legendary logo on the real cards, it's more open. It has more space at the top. So if that makes any sense, right? The points basically have space between them at the top of that legendary logo. On the fake logos, it is almost completely blocked in on the top. You can see how blocked in it is on the fake ones. And then the lore pips is another really good way to tell if it looks kind of fuzzy and hazy in the lore pip, it's real. If it's really solid black lines and hard edges, then it's fake. And that's something that is really easily identifiable on both of those. I don't know, go online, Google a bunch of stuff to kind of figure that out. But just with Infinity format being a thing, and, you know, people buying older cards and stuff like that, if you're at an event, just be smart about it. If you're local, you can feel pretty confident.
No, I agree. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can always take your card to a local game store. Most of them are equipped to be able to identify some fraudulent cards or fake cards, and they can help you figure that out for you too.
Absolutely. They don't to buy fake cards there, do they?
No, they do not. They do not. And we have some tools to help us figure it out.
Yep. Excellent. Well, let's get back to Cindy. I think we diverted enough.
Back to Cindy.
but yeah, so
back to you, girl.
So you know, you talked about, you know, obviously the price going down and it was kind of expected, but why is the price dropping, Kevin? What do we think?
So I mean, I think the hype for Cinderella has dropped down a bit. There is a little more product out there at this point. The early days of the set being released, there wasn't as much product out there. Now there's a little bit more. People have opened more packs, so the price is coming down a bit. Additionally, I think regarding our LC3 tournament that's going on right now, there are some high-profile players out there that are running blue decks that aren't playing Cinderella. Additionally, there's some high-profile players out there that are running decks that are just beating on blue steel.
Absolutely.
I think Emerald Amethyst is a really popular or an up-and-coming deck color combination for the set that is proving to just slam on Sapphire Steel.
Emerald Amethyst Control is blowing my mind, because I can't even classify it as a mid-range anymore. It is a control deck. It is not even coming close to trying to interact early game. It's just waiting and just wrecking your life.
So what are some of your favorite cards from that list?
So it blows my mind to see a little bit. It's like a blue-green list. It's a blue-green list, but instead of blue, you have Amethyst in there for the card draw. And the whole goal behind it is you have these bigger ramp-heavy control decks. It's just saying, cool, I'm going to ramp with you with Webby because you're going to ramp and I'm going to play Webby on turn 2 and I'm going to quest with her and I'm going to ramp right alongside you because you're giving it to me effectively. And then you just have way better outs because now you have a draw engine that exceeds both of these decks because you have Amethyst, you have purple that is the draw engine. And so it just sits there, bides its time, and says, all right, yeah, you can do your thing over there and have that. But it's countering big bombs with Floodboard. And so it's like, it's just, you get big with your ink counts and then you drop, tons of characters because you've been just drawing a million cards with Clarabelle, with, whatever Amethyst card makes you happy. And then they're dropping Hades. Yeah, Hades, because you drop the 5-cost Hades and they have to give you the 2 cards most of the time because they don't want to lose their tempo. And yeah, it's just crazy to see it. So yeah, I think the cards that are making that deck move are Webby and then just Amethyst. Cool. The Amethyst draw, right?
The Amethyst. Yeah.
The Amethyst that we've all been,
the
rich gets richer. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
And I honestly think that's what's tied to, in part, to what's making Cinderella drop, because not only is she more available, but she's also not putting up the numbers that we all expected her to, not performing as well in the evolving metagame.
Yep.
So in that light, she's also becoming less popular. So I think that's part of it. So like you said earlier, if we are watching that price drop and it gets down to a spot where you're feeling comfortable getting her, then go pick up a playset. It's time. So it's always fun to see that happen because sometimes it can feel a little overwhelming when really popular cards are so expensive and you're like, oh, I'd love to play that, but I can't afford a $60 card. And to that, I would say you can afford a piece of paper and a proxy. So go play with her.
Absolutely. You could always play with her and test decks, right?
Good luck out there finding your play sets. It's fun to watch these cards go up and down in popularity and to see these new decks that crop up and put other cards on the back burner.
Yeah, and I mean, I think going back to Cindy and why she's dropping, I feel like originally she was really valuable in a lot of decks, right? She came out and they said she makes, and like I was saying early on, she makes certain decks work. She unlocks certain decks. And I think Blue Steel was that deck that really kind of became the one that everybody was gravitating towards. But it feels like Blue Steel is slowly taking a step back.
I agree.
My theory behind this, and I'm going to die on this hill, I had this hot take last week, but I think Goliath is just not a good card when it comes to having to rely on it to win the game. I agree, back to what Sam was saying, where you can't cut it because you need it, but I feel like it just gives your opponent too many options in the late game, that if you have a deck that was able to establish some sort of a board presence, some sort of a lore lead, then you're just funding them cards towards the end of the game where potentially they've lost all their draw engines at that point. So that's kind of my theory on it, and Blue Steel's taking a step back, and so if that takes a step back, Cinderella has to take a step back because now her only main deck that she's really been good in is going to be your blue-green deck, and she's just a one part of that. When you miss her in blue-green, it sucks, but it's still one of those things where it's just one piece of it. And to your point, maybe people play less copies just based on the value of her in general. They say, hey, I'll put a different four cost in for right now and hope that the price continues to drop. I think once her price normalizes to that $30 mark, you'll continue to see sales. You'll continue to see decks that run her. But yeah, I think $30 is where she's got to get to at some point.
Yeah, I agree. So. And I mean, to that point, I think there's some people out there that are running Sapphire Emerald without her and doing really well, like just running full Clarabelle packages and other 4-drops. So I think they're doing great. They're like with the Donald.
Yeah. Speaking of what you mentioned about Clarabelle in general, she's good in like 5 decks right now. So go if you're like me and you were very unintelligent and decided that you were going to wait on Clarabelle. go and pull the trigger now, because I don't think she's gonna go anywhere down at all. I think her price is gonna be locked at 30 for the
while
the rest of time. So might as well just go get her and pull the band-aid off and get that card. That's what I'm gonna have to do. So
she's a popular cow, you know, or go open some sealed Shivering Skies and test your luck.
Yeah, I mean, Nate James will probably be laughing his head off when he listens to this podcast episode, because there was a moment when I was talking to him about Clarabelle. I was like, I just don't like her. And he's like, you're insane. That is such a good card. And I was like, and I think it was all back to the fact that I didn't have a playset of her. And so I was like, yeah, I don't like her. She's no good. And,
right.
I'm just trying to convince myself, right? Trying to convince myself that I made a good choice. No, it was all a bad choice. So,
which is so fascinating to me, because that exact same effect is printed on an action card. I think it's even in the same, is it the same set? I forget, or maybe it's Ursula's. But
well, let's go back to what we were talking about with Cheshire Cat, right? It happens every turn. It's that that factor, right? Because sure, you have repeatable. An action. I mean, you could repeat actions early on too, but it just feels like it's so organically good, and it's on this big old body that has so many good shift targets, and
busts for 2.
It's just so good. Such a good card. So
good cow.
I hope I have sufficiently eaten the crow at this point, and I can go back into the world of Lorcana and not be laughed at for my terrible hot takes. So
well, I'm sure I'll have to eat some crow as well, because I was talking to Jacob as Whispers was being revealed, and he's like, Demona is the way. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not sure I like Demona. So I think I'll be in the same boat.
Yeah, I mean, this has been the best meta I have, since I joined the game in Ursula's Return. So
I think this is the most widespread meta that I have seen. I remember there being a 5-deck meta. Was it around, like, it was Inklands or Ursula's in there somewhere? And I think this is better. I think, honestly, this is the best I've seen it, because it starts out with, with the hype decks, and then it slowly disseminates down to better and wider decks with more ranges across different colors. Because I think it's fun because we have 2 different blue steels. We have, like, 3 different aggro decks going on right now.
Yeah.
We have 2 or 3 different mid-range decks and at least 4 control decks.
Yeah, I mean, the control decks are blowing my mind, and I mean, it almost feels like, what is it, the Circle of Life deck feels very control-y too. So it's,
dude, I want to play that deck.
It's cool.
I don't think it's the best deck, but I want to play that deck.
I mean, I feel like it's cool, and you hit the dream when you get the Simba out and you're able to just keep on playing cards for free. I mean, I think there's some really fun synergies there with that deck. So anyway, I guess this is a really good segue into some of our favorite lists that we've seen recently. So do you have any favorite lists that you want to start off with there, Kevin?
Yeah, so I kind of a fan of jank, and when I see something janky that someone likes to bring up and some crazy brew, like, it immediately just touches my heart. And one of them is, I hate to call it janky because it actually looks semi-functional, but it is the Circle of Life with dogs. And I think it's just so high-rolly that it can't be super consistent, but when it hits, and it's just like Mufasa vibes, and I love that. So just the Ruby Amber, like, just roll the dice and I won.
Back to the Boofasa decks that everybody was like, oh, they're
100%.
They're no good or whatever, but it was just that moment where you pulled out Mufasa and then you hit, the
Maldragon.
Yeah, Maldragon.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, it happened. That same thing happened to me.
It does.
I was playing against Jacob's son, and he was just wrecking my face, and I was like, I'm gonna get rid of this Mufasa, and I did, and Maldragon comes down. I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, this is mind-boggling. Like, it doesn't matter that it enters play exerted. I can't do anything about it. Like, whatever.
Right, it doesn't matter. And it feels so good.
Yeah. It's fun stuff.
That's one that's really that's touching my fancy there. The other one that I think would be a lot of fun is the Amber Sapphire Princesses build, just because I want it.
Yeah, I mean,
I want to get.
It feels like Cindy's was built for that deck almost, like
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Feels like they were like, hey, we got to give some love to these colors real quick. And that's like,
Right.
you know, because every time you've ever played Amber Sapphire before, it's always been a princess deck. Every time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Organically. That's just how it's played out.
With
And
some puppies splashed in.
yeah, with a little bit of puppies there, because that was the other thing, is that there was a synergy with the puppies, right? But yeah, it just feels like Cinderella is like, we really want to have this deck have a place. And sadly, they powered up other decks too much. You know, scope creep was a little too real there, but it's still fun. It's still fun. I feel like the Ludwig and you're like, oh, we're gonna play this deck that's gonna get rid of my opponent's actions, and I'm gonna ramp, and I'm gonna get to my big cards, and you know, you play your Plutos, you play your Hueys in there, and you try to get your bigger cards out earlier, and yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's a cool deck for sure.
And I just love the idea of like ramping on 2, getting to Cinderella, and then just ramping every turn. Doesn't matter. Like every single turn from there on out.
Yeah, because you're just playing a princess. So you just keep on going, keep on filtering through your hand, find the card that you need, go find that other princess character.
And then throwing in the support as well to be with the Rapunzel and being like, well, you can't do damage now, and I'm ramping, and I'm gonna play down 3 cards because I have like 12 ink, and like, oh man, it just looks like fun.
Absolutely, I agree.
But
yeah,
how about you? What are your lists?
I think for me, the one that comes to mind that I think has the most potential is the Kiwi Birds Resurgence. And for those who don't know what Kiwi Birds is, it is an aggro version of Blue Steel. So I think that there's something there where you can potentially play some ramp if you wanted, or you could play like a Cindy just to have her to be able to play her organically on turn 4 and still kind of get a little bit more ramp there, get up to 6 ink a little bit quicker. But playing a Kiwi Birds list that's more aggro heavy early on, where you're playing down some smaller early questers, and specifically it includes the Alice that is the seafaring Alice, that when she quests, she gives one of your characters ward plus an extra lore pip. So I think there's something there to be said with
Savvy Sailor.
Sorry. That's the one. You're right. The Alice Savvy Sailor. So I think there's something there that could really be fun to play, and not even just fun. I think it could have some serious success, given that it has the removal options of steel and it has the aggro options early on, and ward. Ward, I think, is a very good keyword right now that a lot of people are sleeping on. I don't want to say sleeping on. It just feels like it doesn't organically fall into very many decks. But Kiwi Birds was always known for playing ward. So that's where I think if you can find a list that you like on Dreamborn that is like Kiwi Birds, and then you want to mess around with it and make it your own, I think you could see some success with that, especially against a lot of these control heavy decks. Blue-green, or the Sapphire Emerald, and the Emerald Amethyst deck, and even the control heavy Sapphire Steel deck, Blue Steel deck. I think you could have success against all 3 of those decks, and all 3 of those decks are seeing significant play in the meta. So
yeah, anything steel based for sure.
Yeah.
Ward just beats on that for sure. The one thing that's a little concerning for ward players right now is that malicious meaning scary exists. So
correct. Yeah, and I mean, a lot
Philip.
of decks are playing malicious meaning scary for sure, but the question is, as Amethyst Emerald gains some of this popularity, do you start to see less decks that are playing or not malicious meaning scary, spooky sight, right? That was the one you were talking about, right? Yeah. So spooky.
Oh no, I was talking malicious meaning scary plus Prince Philip gets past ward. So
true. Yeah, it does get past
ward.
But
spooky side as well.
Yeah, spooky side I think is the one that really jumps out to me, especially when you're playing more aggro-y decks. That would be concerning because they can just completely stonewall you. And I think Alice is a 3, correct? She's an uninkable 3-drop. The Savvy Sailor.
Alice is she's a 3-drop uninkable 1/4 2-pip.
Yeah, so that's the thing that blows my mind. And honestly, when I was playing online for a minute there, oh, looks like we have a live guest right now. Live to us from the CCQ in Vegas. We have a guest. Here is Sam Fletcher. So Sam, we'll turn it over to you. Tell us a little bit about the CCQ.
What's up, guys? Not much to say yet. The first round hasn't started. We're waiting for a player meeting, but I figure I'd hop in while you guys are while you guys are talking. The play hall is huge because there's a Magic event going on here too. But yeah,
Let's go.
yeah,
That
dude.
looks awesome.
Oh my gosh, look how pretty that looks. It looks beautiful.
It's a pretty cool event center. We're just waiting around right now. We found a total of 3 vendors that sell Lorcana
All right.
out of the 20 that are here. So
Well, hey,
It's
at least
definitely a
there's
Magic
3,
forward
not
event.
0, right?
yeah, but yeah, just waiting. This morning I locked in Purple Steel,
Let's go. Locked
Heck
in purple
yeah.
steel. Let's go.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna crush
and I'm
it, man.
repping the Beehive hat, dude.
Let's go. He's got the beehive hat on. He's repping the
I got
Lorcana
it.
beehive.
Yeah. So I'll let you guys get back to it. Just wanted to pop in, say hey, what's up, say hello to everybody, and then I'll let you guys know what I'm doing later.
Amazing, man. Yeah, hopefully we can cut to you later. Hopefully you're not too busy on a tear there, but thanks for joining,
Yeah, I'll
man.
find some tune.
Awesome. I
Sounds good,
appreciate
guys.
it. Thanks, man. Talk
Have
to
a
you
good
later.
luck.
Bye. Good
See
luck.
you guys.
We get a chance to chat with Sam there and at the CCQ. I'm glad we got that awesome little piece there. As I was saying there, I think the one thing I keep forgetting about when I'm playing online is that Spooky Site is 3 cost or less, not 2 cost or less. My brain keeps telling me it's 2 cost or less. And yeah, so that's where I think Spooky Site could definitely throw some wrenches into those Kiwi Birds. But if you continue to see decks like the green purple deck go up, you're gonna see decks like the blue steel and like the green blue start to maybe take a few steps back, and that takes away some of those aggro threats. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I'm a diehard aggro player. Love the way aggro plays, and I was very excited to see a resurgence of Kiwi Birds because that line is so powerful when you go Nala into Alice into Bodyguard. It is backbreaking. It is so good.
Yeah, that's wild to consider that you're just like quest for 3, quest for 2, quest for 4 with Nala at that point, right? And she has ward.
Well, what you're doing is you're giving ward to your Bodyguard so that they can't remove it with anything.
Then they
so
can't
they
remove
have to
it.
challenge into it.
Yep, that makes sense.
Now that they have the new option for Bodyguard, because it used to be just Pluto, really, but now that they have Headless Horseman, which is in the same slot and is a 4/4, like it's real good.
Yeah, because I think Pluto had its just negatives in the factor that you could just get a damage on it somehow, and then all of a sudden it's a much easier card to remove in comparison. But yeah, I think that's exciting to think about putting ward on a Bodyguard just to protect it from the removal and then continue to play on. And then, I mean, heck, you play that Aurora in the deck too, just auto give your whole field ward. I think, like I said, I think ward is a keyword that is fairly slept on. You're right, Prince Philip board wipe does get around it. However, that is quite the combo. Like it's cheaper than the Under the Sea combo, but it's still quite the combo from what I've seen.
It's so much fun. Well, so I really hope to see some good numbers put up by that.
So yeah, that was my deck choice of some of my favorite lists. I think just Kiwi Birds, right, coming back. I think that's a good place for Blue Steel to be. I think the control version of Blue Steel or the control version of Sapphire Steel is just really having a hard time against these other control decks. Even Blurple is giving it a tough time. And we talked about last week.
Which is wild.
Yeah. And we talked about last week, Blurple taking a bit of a step back. I do still see play in it. I still will say that it's not what I would consider to be a tier 1 deck. I think it's solidly in the tier 2 slot. The 2 tier 1 control decks I see are Sapphire Emerald and Amethyst Emerald, right? Like I said, the Amethyst Emerald control now. And then the 1 mid-range do-it-all Swiss Army knife, which Sam said he locked in, and I think he's going to have a heck of a day with it, is Amethyst Steel. So I think those are our tier 1 decks right now, in my opinion, and then, you go into tier 2 after that.
I agree. I think for the next segment here, we wanted to step into some of our local events that we have coming up.
Absolutely, yes. Go ahead. You have a couple of them you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, you posted one. You posted one in our Discord chat. So if anyone is wanting to see we try and post our upcoming events in our Discord channel. We have casual tournaments and competitive tournament channels. But the competitive one that we have coming up November 29th is going to be the Lorcana Pro Play Qualifier. And it is an official PPG event. They call it, what was it? It's a registered gold tier event.
Gold tier, baby.
And the reason why, I know, shiny. The reason why this is so exciting is because the winner of this event gets a buy into the PPG event that's happening. Was it Florida, right? I think it's Florida.
It's Orlando, yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, Orlando, Florida. So what's going to happen is you get a buy into that first round, and that is a huge event that's coming. So this is kind of feeds into it, but it's not to say that that's the only thing that's available at this tournament. It's going to be Swiss. The top 4 players are going to be receiving an enchanted from their treasure trove that they have at Oasis. And then there's going to be booster boxes and store credit that's offered at other players as well. Additionally, which this never happens, they're providing lunch.
Let's go.
So it seems small, but that never happens. So thank you, Oasis, for putting this on.
Yeah, this is going to be a great tournament. I'll be judging, as I mentioned last week. We want to pack them, just give them as many players as we can. Really good opportunity to get your play testing in before any of the upcoming set champs, as well as the DLC in Richmond. So really good opportunity. Get your play testing in, get out there, try out these fun homebrew decks that you think could have some fun versatility, and get fed while you do it. So
exactly. So that's the one I'm most excited for that's coming up. What about one for you? Do you have another one?
Absolutely, yeah. So I wanted to mention this. It's not officially planned yet, but as we talked about last week, Hearthside Games is on the docket for a grand opening. We still don't have a confirmed date for the grand opening, but we know it's going to be sometime in December and likely going to be before Infinity Weekend in December. So keep an eye out for Hearthside Games grand opening. There will be tons of press about that when it comes up. And then they're planning on doing a Win an Iconic tournament. They're going to do that between the set champs, the current set, Whispers in the Well, and the new set, Set 11 Winter Spell. That means that they'll try to do it somewhere after January, because January is going to be the month for set champs with Set 10. So yeah, keep an eye out for that one for sure. I'm super excited about it.
Absolutely.
Hearthside is going to try to do some big Lorcana events. So just keep an eye out for it. It's in a really great spot. The one thing that I wanted to really gush about with Hearthside Games, their parking is phenomenal. Best parking in the Valley for sure, because they're in an old shopping center that used to have a Target in it, no longer has a Target in it. And I mean, man, every time I go there, tons of parking. They have a Wendy's in the same parking lot as them.
In the same parking lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is going to be, honestly, one of the most mint places for tournaments. And I'm hoping that they'll continue to give all the love to Lorcana, because, as we all know, Andre Kerdalfer is one of the Lorcana mainstays. So, very exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's great. His whole family plays, and they're just the best family. So go support them.
Absolutely, yeah. They deserve all of our money. So as the statements say, take my money, right? Go give it to them. They need tons of it from the the community, and continue to support that store. Continue to support your favorite local game store. Shout out to Oasis. Shout out to Kayfabe. Shout out to Game Grid Lehigh. Shout out to Game Grid North Ogden. We have a lot of really good game stores that we love. So, and if I missed your game store, reach out to me and tell me that I'm terrible. So,
shout out to Moonwake. Shout out to Nerd Store Orem. Like, we love you guys.
Let's go. I like it. Absolutely.
But I mean, to that point, I think our last segment here for today is actually just going to be going over the LC3 results that we have so far. And Justin, did you want to start that off?
Absolutely, yeah. I want to talk about the LC3. As I mentioned earlier, that is the Legendary Cross Continental Clash. And
whoop, whoop.
The first thing I want to mention about the LC3 is that the North American folks are just crushing the EU folks right now.
Woohoo!
So, but yeah, so I mean, let's go through some of the results so far. We had Aiden, which was a Ruby Am, over Angela, which is an Amethyst Steel. We had Tiago, which is a Amethyst Emerald, over DKP, which is Sapphire Steel. We had Sky over Kawa, and it was a Blue Steel Mirror or a Sapphire Steel Mirror. We had Dan over Lucas. Both Dan and Lucas were playing the Amber Emerald Circle of Life deck. So super cool there that they were both playing that. And,
Yes.
And the only 2-0 of the tournament so far is Ed over Minato. I don't know how to say his name. Minato
is what I would say.
Yeah, and Ed was playing, oh my gosh, I don't even know if I have what Ed was playing here.
I think Ed was playing blue green sapphire.
Was he? Oh, yeah, that's right. He was playing blue green. So Ed was playing blue green, and Minato was playing amethyst steel. So and then and then the last one was Baker, which was the only EU player to win for round one so far. Baker playing Ruby Am over Zach Bivens amethyst steel. So
way to go, Baker.
Yeah, so some cool stuff there. Nice to see the Lorcana villain. I didn't realize he was such a good player. That's exciting. It's good to know that he's got such a good ability there. But yeah, so those are the results so far. Some of the things I wanted to talk about with that's really exciting is that we have 2 Ruby Amethyst decks, which, if you recall from last episode, that was one of the up-and-coming decks that Sam had highlighted on that episode. And we're seeing it here live with the LC3, where both Ruby Amethyst decks were able to impose their will there. It is also really important to note that the only person who won on the draw was Baker with his Ruby Amethyst deck. So very exciting to see that. I think it's one of those things where the on the play, on the draw question always comes up a lot, and people wonder, what does that mean? But overall, I think what we've seen here has been a really exciting showing from this LC3, and it really alludes to what the metagame could look like in the future.
And I really hope that it ends up taking some presence here in the meta, because I don't think we've seen Ruby Amethyst in a minute. So I think it's time for it to come back.
I agree. And I mean, this Ruby Amethyst deck that we have coming through with the Headless Horseman and in many cases the Hercules as well, it really has a lot of fun lines to play and a lot of fun things that you can do to challenge back with your opponent and really punish some of those plays that they may have there. Very exciting to see it kind of going hard there. But the one thing that I also wanted to bring up with what we talked about here in this LC3 results was the dice roll specifically. And I think it's something that we can chew on just a little bit here and talk about. For me, I've always said, how big of an advantage it is to be on the play versus on the draw. And there's been certain metagames where I've been told that that's not as relevant. We obviously saw the dice roll metagame itself, which was last set 9's Fabled, seemed to be what we consider to be the dice roll meta. This game, or these game results that I'm seeing from the LC3 tend to make me feel like we're still in a bit of a dice roll meta. What do you think about that, Kevin?
I mean, I think it's a popular opinion, I should say, that the dice roll meta makes games bad, and it can make certain matchups feel very one-sided. But my hot take on the dice roll is, if we are complaining so much about the dice roll, then we need to bring back 2-game format, because it's built specifically to even that out and give people equal chances on going first and going second. I personally thought that the 2-game format was perfectly fine. I enjoyed it.
I agree.
And the dice roll is going to be such a problem, and you think it's the biggest evil that the game can provide, then I say bring back the lesser evil in some people's opinions, which was 2-game.
Yeah, I mean, I had so many arguments with people about that 2-game format and how I loved it so much. And there's more than just the dice roll meta to be considered with the 2-game format. It also unlocks bigger control decks. Being able to play 2 games in 55 minutes instead of 3 in 55 minutes is a huge advantage for those that are playing these massive control heavy decks that take a long time to develop, and really you have to get your board in a certain state to get there. I do miss that 2-game format. I don't think it'll ever come back, just because of the unpopularity of the world of change, right? Evolution is hard. Right. And so I think it's going to be tough to convince a lot of those existing TCG players to say, hey, we're going to go and do this 2-game format. There's a lot of potential issues with larger tournaments as well. I think the 2-game format lends a lot more to even worse, which is dice roll game decisions, where people will basically decide the game based on a dice roll, which really sucks too, because they want to make sure they get the 2-0 so that they can get to day 2, or they're doing handshake deals. I think that was a lot of the criticism that I heard around the 2-game format, because especially in the bigger tournaments, it was very prevalent where people would make those handshake deals and be able to get the maximum tickets for their benefit. So if they do try to bring it back, they have to bring it back with a lot of documentation and a lot of technical data backing it. Otherwise, it's just going to flounder like it did before. But yeah, I think the dice roll is still just super important. I think you're still running into that spot where dice roll is important. If you hate rolling dice, something that I found was really good, and I got to give Josh Wee at Oasis credit for this. He just grabbed 2 random cards and was like, find the Tinkerbell, and whoever finds the Tinkerbell wins. And I thought that was awesome. I thought that was the best way to do. I know that there's a rock paper scissors format that they have for Magic, and you could potentially do the same thing in Lorcana with Avalanche, Mickey Mouse, Brave Little Tailor, and
nice.
What's the other one? Rock paper would be, I think it's Sign the Contract or something like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So you got some options where you could do the same thing, right? You could have like a rock paper scissors format and to decide who goes first. I'm hoping that I can incorporate what I think would be the best way to decide who goes first, and that is Disney trivia. So we ask everybody a Disney trivia question, and whoever answers it goes first. If they both answer it correct, then we do another harder Disney trivia question. And I think the only challenge with that is the time, right? Like that's the challenge.
Eventually it just turns into Jeopardy, and here we go.
Yeah, we just have a trivia day instead of playing cards now. Now we're just talking about Disney trivia. So
exactly.
No, I thought that could be a fun way to decide as well, but the jury's out on whether or not that'll come into play. But yeah, I think the dice roll meta is here, and I think it's here to stay for right now at least. So be prepared for that.
I mean, I think it's always existed in part because you have the triangle of like aggro to mid-range to control, right? So there's always going to be some leaning, right, toward which one is favored in what matchup. But I don't know. I'm hopeful that it won't be the worst. I thought Fabled was very heavily weighted toward the dice roll, which was it made it somewhat unfun in some circumstances. But I really hope that given the variety of decks that we have right now, it is a lot less dice roll dependent. But time will tell.
Well, great. I think we crushed through our agenda here. We talked about a couple of different decks that we think are going to be great. Very fun, active episode today. Like I said, just a lot of energy, a lot of excitement across the whole day. Kevin, is there anything else you'd like to drop before we cut away?
No, man. I think that we've talked about it. I just am looking forward to these upcoming events. I want to give one last shout out to all those LGSs that we love and are supporting our community. Love the game. Love you guys. Keep the good work up. And yeah, we look forward to talking next week.
Yep. See you guys next week. Thanks. See you later.
Bye.